Mahatma Gandhi teachings. Pathway to God. Description of God. Om is the supreme ideal. Man's ultimate aim is realization of God. God is Sat Chit Ananda, existence, knowledge, and bliss. God is an omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, omniblissful, mysterious power. Our soul is a spark of divine fire, a drop in the divine ocean. The world is full of joy and misery, joy with God and misery without God. Man's duty is to realize God, serve humanity, and enjoy God's eternal bliss. Description of God. First thing is, God is one without a second. God is certainly one and has no second. God is unfathomable, unknowable, and unknown to the vast majority of mankind. God is everywhere, sees without eyes and hears without ears, is formless and indivisible. God is uncreated, has no father, mother, or child, and yet is worshipped as father, mother, wife, and child. God is even worshipped as stick and stone and many other things, even though God is none of these things. God is most elusive, nearest to us, if only we knew it, but is farthest from us when we do not want to realize God's omnipresence. I dispute the description that Hindus believe in many gods and are idol worshippers. Hindus do say that there are many gods, but they also declare unmistakably that there is one God, the God of gods. It is not therefore proper to suggest that Hindus believe in many gods. They certainly believe in many worlds. Just as there is a world inhabited by men and another by beasts, so also is there one inhabited by superior beings called gods, whom we do not see, but who nevertheless exist. The whole mischief is created by the English rendering of the word Deva or Devata, for which you have not found a better term than God. But God is Ishvara, Devadi Deva, God of gods. So you see, it is the word God used to describe different divine beings that has given rise to such confusion. I believe that I am a thorough Hindu, but I never believe in many gods. Never even in my childhood did I hold that belief, and no one ever taught me to do so. Secondly, God is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. God is not some person outside ourselves or away from the universe. God is omnipresent. That is, God pervades everything and is omniscient. That is, all-knowing, as well as omnipotent. That is, all-powerful. God does not need any praise or petitions. Being immanent in all beings, God hears everything and reads our innermost thoughts. God abides in our hearts and is nearer to us than the nails on our fingers. God is then not a person, but is the all-pervading, all-powerful Spirit. Those who hear God in their hearts have accession of a marvelous force or energy comparable in its results to physical forces like steam or electricity, but much more subtle. Thirdly, God is a mysterious power. There is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything. I feel it, though I don't see it. It is this unseen power which makes itself felt and yet defies all proof, because it is so unlike all that I perceive through my senses. It transcends the senses. I do dimly perceive that while everything around me is ever changing and ever dying, underlying all that change, there is a living power that is changeless, that holds all together, that creates, dissolves, and recreates. This informing power or spirit is God. The truth is, God is the force, the essence of life, pure, undefiled consciousness, eternal. And yet, strangely enough, all are not able to derive, either benefit from, or shelter in the all-pervading living presence. Electricity is a powerful force. Not all can benefit from it. It can only be produced by following certain laws. It is a lifeless force. Human beings can utilize it if they can labor hard enough to acquire the knowledge of its laws. The living force which we call God can similarly be followed if we know and follow God's law, leading to the discovery of God in us. God is an unseen power residing within us. There are many powers lying hidden with us, and we discover them by constant struggle. Even so, we may find this supreme power if we make diligent search with the fixed determination to find God. My God does not reside above. To me, God has to be realized on earth, because God is here, within you and within me. God is everywhere and all-powerful. You need not think of the world beyond. If we can do our duty here, the beyond will take care of itself. The next item is the supreme good. Is this power called God benevolent or malevolent? I see it as purely benevolent, for I can see that in the midst of death, life persists. In the midst of untruth, truth persists. In the midst of darkness, light persists. Therefore, I gather that God is life, truth, light. God is love and is the supreme good. God is wholly good. There is no evil there. God made a human being in God's own image. Unfortunately for us, human beings have fashioned God in their own image. This arrogation has landed mankind in a sea of troubles. God is the supreme alchemist. In God's presence, all iron and dross turn into pure gold. Similarly, does all evil turn into good. Again, God lives, but not as we. God's creatures may live and die, but God is life. Goodness is God. Next is, God is truth and love. The absolute truth, the eternal principle, is God. There are innumerable definitions of God because God's manifestations are innumerable. They overwhelm me with wonder and awe, and for a moment stun me. But I worship God as truth only. To me, God is truth and love. and is ethics and morality, and is fearlessness, and is the source of light and life. And yet, God is above and beyond all these. God is conscience, is even the atheism of the atheist. In boundless love, God permits even the atheist to live. God knows our hearts better than we do ourselves. God becomes the personal God to those who need God's personal presence. But God is the purest essence to those who have faith. Next, God is Sat-Chit Ananda, being, consciousness, bliss. The word Satya, truth or reality, is derived from Sat, which means being, and nothing is or exists in reality except truth. That is why Sat or truth or reality is perhaps the most important name of God. In fact, it is more correct to say truth is God than to say God is truth. And where there is truth, there is also knowledge. That is why the word Chit or knowledge is associated with the name of God. And where there is true knowledge, there is always bliss, Ananda. Sorrow has no place there. And even as truth is eternal, so is the bliss derived from it. Therefore, we know God as Sat-Chit Ananda, being, consciousness, bliss. Next, God is law eternal. God's law abides everywhere and governs everything. Therefore, even though I don't think that God answers in every detail every request of ours, there is no doubt that God rules our actions, and I literally believe that not a blade of grass grows or moves without God's will. I do feel that there is orderliness in the universe, and that there is an unalterable law governing everything and every being that lives and moves. It is not a blind law, for no blind law can govern the conduct of living beings. Even my denial or ignorance of the existence of an earthly power will be of any use, as also my denial of God and His law. So, humble acceptance of divine authority makes life's journey easier. Next comes God's infinite mercy. God is, even though the whole world may deny it. God embraces not only this tiny globe of ours, but millions and billions of such globes. How can we, little crawling creatures, so utterly helpless, how could we possibly measure God's greatness, boundless love, infinite compassion? How can we measure the greatness of God, who is so forgiving and so divine? When you find your faith is failing, or your body is failing you, and you are sinking, God comes to your assistance somehow or other and proves to you that you must not lose your faith, and that God is always at your beck and call, but on God's terms. So I have found. I cannot recall a single instance when at the 11th hour God has forsaken me. Next, God has many names. There is only one omnipotent and omnipresent God. But God is named in various ways, and we remember God by the name which is most familiar to us. Each person can choose the name that appeals most to him or her. It is a person's attempt to name that invisible force. Humans can conceive God only within the limitations of their minds. What matters then whether one worships God as a person and another as a force? Both do right according to their minds. One only has to remember that God is the force among all the forces. All other forces are material, but God is the vital force or spirit which is all pervading, all embracing, and therefore beyond human understanding. Finally, God's incarnations. God is not a person. To affirm that God descends to earth every now and then in the form of a human being is a partial truth, which merely signifies that such a person lives near to God. Inasmuch as God is omnipresent, God dwells within every human being, and all may therefore be said to be incarnations of God. Rama, Krishna, Shiva, and so on are incarnations of God because we attribute divine qualities to them. Whether they actually lived or not does not affect the picture of them in a person's mind. What matters is that we think of God in any way we can, and contemplating on God brings us closer to God.